Okay, we're going to demonstrate 3 slings for you now. We're going to use our triangle bandage. The first sling will be the lower arm sling. This is for the lower arm between the fingers and the elbow. Your basic rule of thumb with the sling is a triangle. It has one right angle point. There. We always place the right angle point towards the elbow. That's your basic rule of thumb. You're going to go under Erin's injured arm, like this. And then we're going to bring this around here and we're going to tie up on the non-injured side. We're going to put the knot in this little bit of her neck just here, with a little hollow here, because if the knot's behind her neck, the weight of that's going to pull on her neck and cause a grief. We're going to do a reef knot, which is just a right over left and left over right. It's a flat knot which sits nicely in that little pocket there. We're not going to worry about safety pins or tape or anything. We're just going to get this end of the sling, 3 or 4 wraps towards the patient's body like this, tie it on the arm and just tuck it in and make sure the hand's in there. There you have your lower arm sling. Adjust the knot to be tighter or looser so the patient's arm can come up or down where they find it comfortable. Let your patient tell you where it's the most comfortable. This time we're going to show you how to do an upper arm sling. An upper arm sling is the humerus bone between the elbow and the shoulder. We have one single long bone here, and the problem happens here, sometimes the bone can jump like that and jagged bit of bone can stick in the muscle. So the idea is this is a traction sling to pull the bone apart a little bit. So when we take our sling out of its packet, it's going to be almost in this configuration anyway. And we're going to fold up a little bit tighter there. And we're going to make a clove hitch. We're going to put one end down and one end up, just like that. Put on the floor there so you can see it. So one end is pointing down, one end is pointing up. We're going to close the book up like this, and we've made a little clove hitch. Put this on your patient's arm and pull it tight. Make sure the knot part's on the top of the arm there. Then we're going to bring this above the patient's head. And once again tie the non-injured side here, making sure the humerus is at a 90-degree angle coming down so it'll pull down traction on the bone. Tie this off with a reef knot on the side here, just where it's nice and comfortable for the patient. And there we have your upper arm sling, otherwise known as a collar and cuff, with the weight of the lower arm pulling down here to traction the arm. Okay, the last sling we're going to show you is the collarbone sling. This is for collarbone or shoulder injury where the collarbone or shoulder has either dislocated or broken and the whole shoulder has dropped. We have to elevate the shoulder. Now what we're going to do is try and get the patient's arm up like this if we can. And once again, the pointy bit, the right angle bit goes towards the elbow, but this time it's going to go over the top of the arm like that. We only want about 100 ml, about this much of material past the fingertips. And we're going to make a tube for Erin's arm here. So we're going to fold this in underneath like this, making a tube, and fold the top part in as well, like this, okay? Now this time we're going to need Erin to help us a bit, so we're going to hold that for us. What I have to do now is gather all this material here, bite it really hard on her arm like this, and do about half a dozen twists towards her arm. That's why Erin's holding this in place for me. We're going to go around under the shoulder blade here, so we're not putting any injury on this pressure on the shoulder, and we're going to tie it off here. Now the important part is we have to raise the shoulder. So we do the first part of the knot, then we're going to lift up, make it a bit more tight. Lift up, make it a bit more tight. Always asking your patient if they're okay, making sure they're comfortable, and then we'll tie it off. The advantage of this sling over the collar and cuff for the humerus is we've lifted the arm up where the other sling, the collar and cuff, will pull the arm down. We've avoided any material over the shoulder here, so there's no bandage pushing down or putting pressure on Erin's shoulder, and we're supporting her arm in what would be the most comfortable position. This is the collarbone sling.